Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of the Struggling Hunters. We'll be doing episode 61 tonight, or today, or whenever you're listening to it. This is episode 61, um, which is pretty cool. But anyways, I hope that that you guys are finding our stuff a little bit entertaining somehow. Uh, we enjoy doing this, and you know may not be the greatest, but we're definitely learning, and we want, to hopefully we portray how much we enjoy the outdoors, how much we enjoy hunting and whatever that involves, and if give us a little reward with a thumbs up on the like button or subscribe. Either one is great by us. But anyways, don't want to spend too much time on that. We'll just kind of dive off into tonight's episode. We're going to be talking about a little bit more about what we did probably this, maybe this last weekend, and a little bit maybe about scouting, what we maybe expect this coming season. And but with that being said, I didn't really do much this weekend as far as hunting goes. Did some personal family stuff, that little odds and ends to tidy up over the weekend. But I think Eric kind of has a little bit more on that than I do. Um, a little more storytelling this week, this podcast. And I guess with that, I'll just kind of let Eric take it from here.
Sounds good, Joe. Yeah. So, well, let me kick off with saying I ended up getting a fishing boat this weekend, which I'm really excited about. It's just a little 3-person, like 10-foot fishing boat with a little motor on it. Pretty cool little deal. I can't wait to get going on it. I got to get a few things for it before I'm ready to take it out and test it on the waters, but just minor things. Just gotta get. I want to get a trailer for it just so it's easier to haul around and stuff. It was on a private cabin and for the private lake, so they didn't have to haul it with a trailer or anything. So, and it's an older boat, but it's still in really good shape. So now I got it. My wife's grandpa handed it to us. They're selling their cabin and decided to give it to us and see what we could do with it. See if we can make some use out of it. The whole family's pretty excited about having it. Wanting to get out on the water and do it. My 3.5-year-old girl, she's all excited about going out on the water and fishing and all that good stuff. So it's pretty exciting for that. So that's about as much as I got on the fishing boat, and hopefully later on we can make some content. I told Joe earlier before we started recording, I was like, hey, we can get together and do some struggling hunter stuff or something on the boat or make content, whatever. But I got a boat, and so it's all good. And it's about the kind of boat that I want, because they say the 2 best days of owning a boat is the day you buy it and the day you sell it. So I feel like having a little 10-foot 3-person boat is will probably do me just fine. It's not something that's a headache and easy to take care of and everything else. So I don't know. Hopefully I don't get all obsessed and want a bigger boat, but we'll see where it takes me. And then, so yeah, I did that on Saturday, and then Sunday I had a very a really fun day for me. I went up to a friend's of my house, and said that weird. A friend of mine, his house, and he has a 3D course, target course for archery, and I went and did that. And honestly, whenever I first started, because I've been practicing like crazy, and it's just been around the house, but just really getting my rhythm down, and I had good rhythm. Uh, but I was very humbled on this 3D course because once we got started, part of the rule is there's no like measuring or anything. It's just pull up and make that judgment for yourself. Make that uh, if you think it's 20 yards or 30 yards, that's kind of all up to you. And that was interesting. I I missed some targets. I missed quite a few of them, and I mean, I hit some too, but it definitely humbled me. I was like, probably need a little more practice than because going up against a live animal, it's going to be a different story. That's just me being completely transparent. I mean, it's kind of hard to say that I sucked, but I kind of did. So, um, yeah, so did that though, and then later on, I got to throw this in there because it kind of helps save face a little bit. Later on, we were kind of working on getting my bow dialed in. The friend that I was doing this with, he's an older guy and kind of been doing it for a lot of years, and so he kind of was helping me out getting adjusted for hunting and stuff, or getting my bow adjusted, but also trying to help me prepare for the hunting season, and so we got to messing around, and my pins on my bow were all loose, for one. For two, uh we went to go adjust it, and my top pin just like fell out. So one he on the let me have and put that on there, and it was kind of amazing. We made a few adjustments on it, to make sure that we were dialed in, and then I just grouped right away. Problem was is it was kind of we were shooting bows. I mean, at this point we've been shooting bows for hours, so it's kind of one of those things. It's like I'm just bowed. I'm just I've shot more than my fair share of shots, so I was bowed out, and so we kind of just got a good group and kind of left it there. So I haven't shot it since to see if I'm still hitting, but I left there feeling pretty good that I was doing all right. Uh so I'm excited about getting that the new pin or the new sight on there,
Yeah.
and gonna try that out. But yeah, that was it was definitely a learning experience, and I'm glad that I got to do that 3D course. The one takeaway, and that's what I told him, is whenever I did that, did or when my sight broke, I was like, that's I'm glad that it broke here, because I mean, this is my first time taking it out in what would be kind of a scenario of walking the woods, and my sight breaks the first time that luckily this was just a practice course, but my
Yeah.
sight broke. So I mean, I'm glad that it broke there and not while I was actually elk hunting. And whenever I bought the bow, I mean, the guy that sold it to me said, you're gonna probably, the first thing you're probably gonna replace is that sight. And I'm like, maybe I can make it last. And I did it. So got my first little upgrade, and I'm pretty happy with it for now. But it was definitely a learning experience, and I'm hoping to get back up there a few more times before the hunt season, especially, and get some work in, and do it a couple more times, so I I can really get dialed in. One of the coolest things, I don't know if I mentioned this already or not. I feel like I mentioned it to you, but I can't remember if it was why we were recording. But whenever when we were shooting these targets, one of the things that we didn't do was measure distance. There was no like, is this 20 feet or 30 feet? It was kind of just make your best guess kind of thing. I mean, he wasn't completely I mean, he would, this one might be 40 yards or whatever, but it wasn't, it was kind of, and I took on the challenge for myself. I was like, well, I kind of want to judge this for myself. So there was no
Rangefinder.
what rangefinder. Yeah, there was no rangefinder, nothing. It was just kind of your best judgment and go from there. So that was kind of cool because, and his theory is sometimes you don't have that opportunity to throw up your rangefinder and
Right.
get a good stretch in before you shoot. It's all right there. So you got to make good judgments. And I was like, I can stand behind that. It makes a lot of sense. And but man, it was fun. It was really a blast. I can't wait to go back up there and
So,
do it again.
well, I guess we don't really know how good you were, or I shouldn't say how good, maybe, or how good. Anyway, you don't really know exactly how you're doing because your sights were kind of flopping all over the place without you knowing it, huh?
I feel like, I mean, I do feel like it's kind of a double-edged sword there. First time ever doing 3D targets is it's different. I mean, you know, it felt different to me than just hitting plain old paper or whatever, or targets rather. It feels different than doing that. So there's that aspect of it. And then I do kind of think, because especially on the kind of on the tour, because the way this course is set out, there's probably 10 or so. There's probably more than that, but let's just say there's 10 targets, and you kind of walk down the trail, and then you get to the end, and then you go back the same way, but you're hitting everything from the other direction.
Right.
And especially on the way back, everything was really just left. It wasn't so much they weren't so much off as far as height, but they were off to the left, like every time. And whenever before I got there that day, everything was hitting right on. I mean, I definitely had a little bit of trouble on some of them, but that was because I wasn't judging my distances well. So yeah, there was all kinds of mistakes that I made, but I'm excited though. I mean, because I know the course now, I feel like the next time I go back, I'll probably do better. Well, I'll do better for two reasons, because I'm going to make sure my sights are a-okay before I start, and then the second thing is I kind of know the course, have a little bit better of a feel for the course than I did the first time. So I think that between both of those aspects, I should be able to do a little bit better. But and hopefully I do, and hopefully I make better judgments with my distances and stuff. So yeah, I got some work to do, man. I mean, and that was the thing. I mean, I said that from the beginning is, I bought that bow back in February, I believe.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't do an archery hunt this year because I wanted a lot of time for my bow to get used to it, because the one thing I don't want to do, and I mean, it still could happen even if I'm feel the most competent, but the one thing I don't want to happen is to wound an animal. And so, I mean, I just got to put in the work and go from there. But hopefully by the time that my archery hunt starts, I'll feel confident enough that I can be able to get that done. Because the other element to all that is you see a big old bull running through the brush. I mean, your heart's pounding and everything else, I mean, shooting these targets, it's, I mean, you don't want to miss, and there's a little bit of pressure because you got a couple other dudes staring at you going, is he going to hit this one or not? But so there's that pressure whenever you're hitting targets, but it's not the same as going after a live animal. So I want to definitely be dialed in as best as I want to just be prepared as best as I can. So
Right. Well, like, as far as preparing, and it's kind of hard because we sit here and talk But about talking about seeing an animal coming through the woods, like, how do you prepare yourself for that adrenaline? Like, it's kind of hard, like, it's like, I try to think back to my turkey hunt because that was my last harvest, and I didn't have time to really get all that excited on it. Like, I just had time to react. And like, I even remember, like, uh, so I was probably two things. So I'll finish that thought. I remember, like, trying to make sure that I had the rail of the shotgun lining up with the bead, so that way I was shooting straight. Remember telling myself, okay, get that lined up. So I was able to think through that. But I think maybe we talked about this before. I can't remember if it was you or someone else, but it was I kind of wish that I got to play with my turkey a little bit, play with as far as calling it in, like, kind of get the moment caught up in it, and getting excited, like, oh, is it going to come? Is it going to play with me? Is it going to just turn around and walk away? But instead I had like 5 seconds to make a decision, and so I just had to react. And so I guess I get wondering, would I be different if I got to play with it versus just reacting? And so, I just was thinking about that when you're bringing up seeing that bull coming in through the woods, like, getting all hyped up and adrenaline pumping, and, you know, trying to hold still. Anyways, it's like one of those, how do you prepare for that? Like, you think about it, and then, like, when that moment gets there, like, you don't exactly know how jittery you're going to be or not. You think you're going to be strong, but then again, I think it's okay to have those emotions. It's just shows respect and to the animal and the situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking though, whenever you're saying that, I was like, well, maybe I could, those little silhouette targets that they're not targets, but those silhouette animals that they walk, that some people use for hunting.
Yeah.
I'll just make my intern walk through the woods with one of those. And
There you go.
all right, yep, I'm excited.
Whew, about got me.
Yeah, yeah.
Where'd you come from? Oh.
Oh yeah, he went with me too. I actually I was kind of joking around. I think he hit more targets than I did. I mean, so he'd only be like, I don't know, 10 to 5 feet away or whatever, but he was doing good though. He was doing really good there for a while, and then he got hot, so I told him to. He was like, oh, and it was a hot day out there, and he's like, oh, I'm so hot, Dad, I'd pass out. And so I was, all right, go up to the truck, get some water, bud. So he kind of bailed out on us after a while, but it was fun though, man. It was a lot of fun. It was a good learning experience too. I mean, to think about and try to improve on, and like I said, and just to get better, to be able to get to that next level of professionalism behind the bow, and trying to get to
Right.
that, because it's a lot different than just shooting a flat target in the back of your yard. I
True.
mean, and that
So,
was the thing too, because part of his property is, I mean, it's basically in the woods, on the backside of the woods. It's butted up against BLM, and so there's elevations, and that was the thing too, that besides just the optics trouble that I was having, being high and being low, like trying to figure that out, like, do I aim a little high, do I aim a little low here, um all that was kind of a test, and it was good though. I was glad to be part of it. And I think next time I'm gonna. Oh, and I think another mistake that I was making too is kind of, all this stuff is coming back to me as we're talking about it, is adjusting too much, right? So
okay.
at the time I have a 5-pin now, but at the time I had a 3-pin. So when I thought something was like 25 to maybe 30 yards, I would probably adjust it too much for the 25, right? Like maybe maybe I should have just lifted a couple inches above
Right.
where
Right.
I wanted to hit. Instead, I'd be like at the top of the back or of whatever 3D target I was shooting at. And uh sometimes like if I wanted to hit, if it was quartered to me or something, and I didn't want it to go in front of it, I would adjust too far backwards. So I feel like I need to work on making more micro adjustments, if that makes sense. Like instead of with the 5-pin, it's a little harder though, because they're right on top of each other. But whenever I just had the 3-pin, they were gapped out a little bit. And I do think my 30-yard pin started gap. I think that one was loose too. And I think they started gapping further and further away from each other as I was going. And so, yeah, I mean, I was kind of I don't know about a set and duck, but whatever the analogy you want to use, because my pins were moving on me all the time. Cause it was frustrating because I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. I mean, I keep missing, but then I would hit one, I would pull up and everything would work out. And I'm like, all right, I got it. And then the next, this is mostly on the way back, but then the next couple I would miss completely. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? I could not figure it out for the life of me. And then once we realized later on that afternoon that my pins were loose and that one broke, I was like, well, maybe this was the problem the whole time. So,
Yeah. Most likely, like, all those vibrations are going to loosen things up, and walking through the woods, it's going to cause your bow to move. And if you get, if you get a little bit of movement, they get loose a little bit. And that whole analogy of opening a gate, you move the hinge on a gate a little bit at the hinge, but on the other end of the gate where it's not hinged, it's open a mile.
yeah, that's a true statement. Yeah, it was a cool experience.
Good.
And then, and now I pretty much have the whole family into bows now.
Cool.
Wife has one, son has one. Then we'll probably hand the other one down to the daughter and see if she can start doing that.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's exciting. It's kind of cool getting everybody all into it and doing the things. So,
yeah.
Well, and it makes it easier too, instead of just me going out, I'm going to go practice with my bowers. It's everybody can kind of do it and have fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Everyone can have something instead of you going out by yourself. Everyone can step in and have a turn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, well, let's face it too. I mean, it's easier to buy bow stuff now because the wife's into it, so she understands.
Right.
I don't have to. Why do you need that sight? Now it's like, no, you do need that sight, honey.
Yeah. How about we buy me the $300 one and I give you my old one?
Yeah. That's her saying that to me, right?
Right.
Yeah, she gets the $300 one. Yep. Yeah, that'd probably be how it works anyway. So, yeah, I mean that kind of sums it up for prepping for archery. I don't know if I'll get a few other things for my bow or not. I mean, whenever I got it, I got it. I bought it with all that stuff on it. I don't know if I need to really upgrade my quiver right away. Maybe my whisker biscuit though. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I mean. I know saying that on here, people are like, "Oh yeah, definitely you want to drop away or whatever." But I mean, and maybe I do. I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like,
Well, it's like the other thing too is, you don't want to change a whole bunch right before the hunt. To me, at least, you kind of want to get familiar with what you have and feel confident with what you have, and then, then make the tweaks after that. So that way if something changes, where the change is and understand why the change, where instead of, putting something brand new on before the hunt and then be like, well, I just put this on. Is that why it's acting different?
right.
But I guess with that be, well, I guess we are a month and a half. I'm a month and a half out, I think, from the hunts. So, which is nuts.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, it came so fast. Yeah. And hopefully we can get, or I can get over there to help well, I mean, I don't know how much help I'll be, but I want to hunt with you anyway.
Right.
I
Well,
mean, I'll
probably
be, if you get something, you'll be thanking me for being there.
right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, yeah, that's the one thing, like hunting by yourself. It's like, I don't, it's like, it's nice. It goes both ways. I enjoy the companionship. I enjoy camaraderie and, being together. And then like, you're by yourself and it's nice to have someone. And then it's really exciting to have someone there to help you pack it out.
Well, it's kind of nice to have that experience too with somebody there, you know. I mean,
Right. Well,
it's
that's like, yeah, like how when I got my turkey, it's like, all right, who do I call?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, it would have been cool to be there with you and have that, yeah, good job or
Right.
but who knows though if maybe it would have flushed out the turkeys just 'cause they were making twice the noise if I was there. So,
Uh, True.
I
We
mean,
would
I'm
have
just saying.
we would have been breathing too hard
Yeah, probably.
talking.
God, I can't believe I gotta get to work. I've been kind of, I've been working out and everything. I've said that in the past on the podcast. Been working out, but I would say the last week or week and a half ish, been kind of sitting on my laurels a little more. Well, it's kind of a mixture of a couple things. I've been pretty busy. That's really the main thing is just so busy and work has been crazy. So I just haven't had the same opportunity to get it done. But some of it is too, is I just wake up in the morning. I'm like, I don't really feel like it. And
Right.
so, cause that's whenever we do it. We try to do it in the morning before everybody wakes up, which usually everybody's already waking up, but we try.
That's, I
And,
think, if you can just keep that trying, like just keep doing that, it'll pay off in the long run.
uh, get some more hikes in. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, we gotta. I'm. I shouldn't be doing this on the podcast, but I'm sitting here like my mind's wandering because been talking about going fishing for the last few weeks, and we haven't really made any big plans on going yet. So gonna have to do that though. Before I mean, summer's gonna be over before next thing. With you saying about how hunting's coming so close, I'm like, man, you're right. And once uh once that comes, I mean, fishing's out the window.
Right.
So I got to get busy with it and start doing that stuff.
But,
But
but yeah, so you mean talking about what's coming up? I mean, I'm gonna try to get out, and do I got two different spots I want to get to before the hunt. I don't think it's gonna happen. At least like to get out to at least one of them I got a new spot I want to go look at, but I don't know I'll get there before the season opens up.
yeah, I'm kind of in the same situation. I really want to get to a few locations, try a few, at least look at a few newer locations, and it's going to be a whole different hunt with the archery.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to figure that out. So I don't know. It's gonna be a crazy.
Well, I think it's going to be a whole different hunt. Like not only that, but also going to be hot and dry too. You know, like it's I think I feel like all the vegetation is going to be dried out by then. You know, if we don't get any rain. So, and then water holes will probably be dried out by then too. So, you know, it's probably going to be hunting water holes and hunting shaded areas, or you know, cooler areas.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do because last year whenever it was the later hunt, it was so dry up in that area at that time, the area that I have been hunting, and I've been trying to work that area for the last few years, trying to get to know the area and get familiar with it. But uh, hunting earlier, and it's pretty high. I mean, 8,000 feet or so, eight to 9,000 feet. So it's not like it's low elevation, but
Right.
I feel like it's just been getting so dry up there. I don't know if it'd be good hunting up in that area or not. So gonna have to try to. I mean, I think everywhere over here on the western slope of Colorado, it's gonna be dry almost everywhere. So, I mean, everybody's gonna be fighting the same problem, but kind of want to maybe think about scouting other units or other areas in that unit, whichever one. Do a little bit of both. The problem is I just got to make time to get it done,
Right.
but scouting, I feel like that's where I lack every year is scouting, and it's something I want to get better at and put more time into it. I feel like whenever I was younger, I always had a little bit better of a opportunity because I was always out in the woods during the summer. So, I'd see deer and I would see elk, but I've said it before. I never shot an elk in Idaho, well, or in Colorado, um,
But you always come across them.
but I always I always kind of know where, get an idea of where they are. I mean, I know
Right.
they're nomadic, but kind of get an idea of where, and just doing that, just knowing that they're at least in the area and not just. That was always the hardest thing whenever we'd go hunting, or the last few years we'd always see all this sign, which could have been there for half a year to a couple days. We didn't really know, but coming across actually seeing something moving has always been hard for us, or at least the last couple years is what I'm getting at. And just having that confidence though, just I really feel like if I do a little bit of scouting, they're not being pressured, they're doing their thing, being like, hey, they are right there, they are right here in the, at least I know they're around here in this area somewhere.
Right.
And
Right.
build that confidence a little bit. I mean, that's part of scouting, right? Is kind of knowing where they are, because that's the worst thing. I mean, I feel like I did it with turkey. I tried a few areas that I was like, I don't know if there's turkeys up there or not, but I'm gonna go and so I trying to make something happen that I don't know if there was really many turkeys or if any turkeys up in that area.
Right.
So I feel like the same thing for elk is just try to at least build that confidence. Like, well, I know they're in this mountain somewhere.
Right. True. True. Yeah. And that's, yeah. Either that or just start marking off areas too, to be able to say, well, I know I'm not coming here.
That too, yeah, yeah, yeah. Doing a little bit of both.
Well, like you said too, in the last podcast, is having that little like spider web of a plan of of hitting different areas and having different game plans and
Yeah.
working that way.
Yeah. I think that's going to be, I mean, I'm going to really try it out this year and try to stick to it the best I can. And I think that's going to be a big game changer is just kind of draw out some loops, find the, figure out where my base camp's going to be, draw out some loops here, draw out a loop here, and just enjoy it and take my time, and I feel, because I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that I'm going to try to keep in my head is enjoying it. And because I feel like a little bit, I was telling myself, I was like, look, your first couple days are going to be scouting, but having you and my father-in-law and my son, like, of course I want it. There was a little bit of pressure there at the same time. Like, man, I want to run into something. I want it to a point look like I know what I'm doing. And so there was that pressure, and then it kind of gets in your head and you're like, there's nothing out here, and we're all talking about it, trying to figure it out, trying to come up with a plan. And it just, and then it just starts setting in your mind, the negativity kicks in. So I feel like if, sometimes whenever negativity kicks in, it's because your mind is idle. So part of my scouting plan, or part of my plan to hunt, but also part of the scouting side of it before I hunt, is, like I said, kind of draw out these little circles and be like, this looks like a good 6 mile loop or 4 mile loop, whatever. Looks
Right.
like a few good spots to set down on, and glass here or whatever. And just have 3, 4, 5 of those going. So when one loop doesn't work out, I just go over and hit the other loop and see what happens there.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of, until you get into them, that's kind of probably what, it sounds like a good plan.
It sounds good. I mean, if I utilize it and it actually works out, is two other things. But
Right.
and that's kind of why I wanted to go back to the area we were at the last couple years, because I feel like that area would be a little easier to make these loops that I'm talking about. There's probably a few of those loops that are driving, drive over, jump out, do a loop. And then there's some that I can do right from camp instead of having to
Right.
drive anywhere, just leave right from camp. So it's a little bit, some of those loops we've already done, but if I was lucky enough to get the same camp spot that we got that one year, there's a few places right there that I'd like to loop around and check out. So
Yeah.
see what happens.
True. So
What,
I think, go
yeah,
ahead. You go
I was
ahead.
just gonna, no, I was just gonna say, like, is there any particular scouting plan that you have that you've thought through, or?
No, mine, I got, like, if I get to the new area, I just want to go get some eyes on it. It's a little bit flatter. I've never been there, and I don't know if there's going to be any good glassing points, but like I just never been there, so I don't know what to really expect. And and it's going to be kind of like what, like doing loops or what, just trying to spend a lot of time with boots on the ground and getting out as far as I can, and then getting back and camping. That's, like, that's one of the things that we talked about it before. One of these years, hopefully we can get set up to where we're, you know, can do like a base or a drop camp or a spike camp, and just hike out from the trucks 4 or 5 miles or 6 miles, and then camp there for 3 or 4 days and hike a couple miles past that every day. I'd like to get a little further out, but I don't, as far as hunting from a truck, I'm not doing that. It's kind of hard not to get not too far out every day. But anyways,
Yeah,
that's my plan. My goal is to try to get as far from the truck as I can in a given amount of time in a day.
yeah, I feel the same. Those backcountry hunts, I'm excited to try those. And really, during archery is probably the best time to do it because
Right,
you can, everything's lighter,
right. You don't have to have a big
so
heavy bag, heavy boots, heavy
don't
coats.
have to wear as much clothes, don't have to bring as big of a sleeping bag.
Right. There we go. Maybe.
Exactly.
All right. There you finally unfroze.
Yeah, we have a little bit of technical difficulty, but
I'll go in and cut this
yeah.
out.
So yeah, no, to go off of what you just said though, the the lighter stuff. I mean, I think that's huge to do the backcountry hunts. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Do that one
That's
of
gonna
these days.
be down the road. But as far as that goes, it's finding water hole and grass is I think is gonna be the other thing what I'll be looking for. But of course that's all that'll all change probably by the time the hunt starts because it's so hot and dry.
Yeah, I know. I'm worried about it. I'm worried about the dryness. I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky and get some summer storms that just bring a bunch of rain.
Right.
Think that hardly ever happens, but we'll see.
True. True.
So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for tonight's podcast. I think we kind of went over some cool stuff. Uh, the fishing boat. I know that's more of a exciting thing for myself or whatnot, but uh, one of these days when me and Joe get together, which we always talk about and never seems to really
Happen.
happen, but uh, yeah, when me and Joe get together, maybe we'll get out on a boat. The problem is we have so many plans to do together. Before, whenever we do get together, that it'll take probably a couple months to get everything done that we talk about getting done whenever we do get together. But
Right.
I don't know. Maybe we can accomplish some of that on the boat.
True.
So, but yeah, we talked about some good stuff, man. That fishing boat, some scouting plans, prepping for archery, what I learned through archery, what we both have learned. Is there anything you've had a lot of years before we kind of close it out? I'll kind of leave it to you. Is there anything that two questions here. Is there anything that you've learned through archery that you could kind of like give as a confidence builder or not even like a training or something, like something that has
Well,
been something vital to you or worked for
I,
you?
I think the first thing is you got to get over your mind hurdles. Um, it's kind of hard because there seems to be a lot of success in the mainstream, or if you want the influencers in the hunting world. They seem to be able to fill their tags every year, and if I ain't taking anything away from their hard work, but that they get to do that full time. And I would say that is the one lucky side is that they get to do it full time, whereas we're not full time yet. But you're brand new. If you're meaning like if I'm talking to a brand new bow hunter,
Yeah,
you're
just like a takeaway. Yeah,
yeah,
something that they could like learn or take away from the wise words of Joe Iams.
yeah. So I was reading an article that was talking about the elk population in Colorado, and I think there's somewhere they say somewhere around the neighborhood of 200. I should have looked it up. But I thought it was 250,000 elk in Colorado,
I think
and
you're
they
pretty close.
and they give out like 220,000 tags every year, but there's only like 10% success rate.
So
So
that's what 25,000 people successful.
I think so. Yeah, like it's you know what I guess I'm getting at is it's you're looking at archery. It's a different hunt, and you got to flip that switch in your mind to kind of become a little bit maybe mental toughness, and know that it's if the success rate's that low, why is it that low? Is it hunter's not that bad? Is it elk are actually that great of an opponent to try to hunt? Is it like where is the give and take in that aspect of it? So like know going into it, like it's not going to be something easy, that you're going to have to work hard to fulfill an elk tag. And we even know that on the rifle side too. Um, I've yet to be successful on the rifle side, and I was before I switched to archery. I was 4 years into it, 5 years into it with the rifle hunt, and I haven't been successful yet. So my time is coming, but I want to get on the more success side of it. But just getting more mental prepped and mental focused and mental toughness. Like we were talking about your quote of idle mind brings in negativity, and you got to put that aside and just push past that and go look for elk.
Yeah.
Bottom line. But that with that there's that's one. And what was the other? Was there one more?
No, I was just gonna say if you had any closing thoughts of anything, just and then I'd close out.
No, just um, you know, bottom line, be prepared for scouting, prepared for hunting, and prepared for going down the road to get to where you're scouting or hunting. And that's what I got.
Couldn't have said it better myself. um, I'll leave with one thing. Are we good?
No, I'm
Our
good.
internet's acting up tonight. One of our internets is. Okay, cool. I'll leave with this little nugget is I don't think you have to have necessarily everything whenever you're archery hunting, but I definitely seen and see the value in having some extra tools in your hunting bag whenever you, especially whenever you're bow hunting, because things can just happen unexpectedly. And when you're out there, I mean, your whole purpose is being away from everybody, especially if you're doing a backcountry hunt. It'd be pretty crappy to walk all the way back to your truck because you got to run down to the sportsman's store and buy a new whatever and
Right.
or get it tuned in and try to get back out there in the mountains and that whole game. So very important to kind of have an idea of some extra parts, I think. I mean, I feel like that was part of my takeaway, even though it didn't happen to me on the course. When that fell apart, and it just made me think. I'm like, wouldn't be a bad idea to have a little something in a baggie or something,
Right. Some
and
tools.
a couple Allen wrenches and maybe a couple extra bowstring, or not, maybe not the string, but like D-loop string and maybe a couple extra screws, you know.
Right.
Well, I mean, just a little bit of whatever. So, uh, yeah, that's my biggest takeaway. And with that said, guys, I don't know how long this podcast has went tonight, but I know we were aiming for a little bit of a shorter one. It might have went a little long. I don't know, but thanks for listening. We appreciate you. You guys, I know there's a handful of you guys that listen every week, which is really cool. Appreciate you guys for giving us that opportunity and the chance. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, maybe even mention us in a comment or in the on the Apple podcast side. You can leave a little review. Make sure you hit the 5 stars on that. Even if you leave a negative review, but you kind of like us, hit the 5 stars at least. I can get over what you said, but if you don't leave 5 stars, man, I'll never get over it. I'll never, ever get over that. So, with that said, guys, thanks for listening to the Struggling Hunters. We'll talk to you later. We're out.
Bye.